can be due. And we are making very, very speeches because we want to rush to court. Karibuni.
We move them there. Saidia kumove hizo tafadhali. Let me move them next. Okay, now let's hear from the SG, who is the spokesperson of the.
Today marks 7 years and 56 days since the government has been on strike. We are happy that the call of the strike here 5 days ago, and this led us to have a well-structured negotiation that was having a process of give and take. So yesterday, we had a negotiation with the Council of Governors, and then we proceeded to have a whole night negotiation with the Ministry of Health. So I want to thank the head of public service for having complied to the court orders, because court orders are not given in vain. And that led to the meetings that we had. I also want to thank the Council of Governors, headed by the chair on Anwar Guru, and the Chair Health Committee, Governor Mudomi, and the Chair Labor Committee, Kahiga, who have met us on several occasions. Sometimes they throw tantrums, but they still believe that we have to sit down and resolve the issues. I also want to thank the Ministry of Health, the CS, the PSS, who despite the heated moments have not given up on having discussions on these issues. I also want to thank the able leadership of KMPDU, who believe in one thing, that justice must be done and must be done now. And so from the document that we had a very long meeting today with our National Advisory Council, that is the highest decision-making organ. And they endorsed that we signed this particular return to work formula today, so that it can pave way for the doctors to resume work within 24 hours from now. And that means a strike that began on 13th of March 2024 has been called off. The government has insisted to us that they are different government, there are different persons in office, that we need to believe in them, that they are not conmen. And therefore, we have decided that despite having said and stated that we do not go home with promissory notes, we have decided to take the promise for the last time. But as we take this, I must say that one of the fundamental issues, that is the matter of doctor interns, is still pending. This matter was filed in court in Eldoret. This matter has been part of the conversations. And we could not come to a particular agreement because the union was for the opinion that the doctor intern must be posted immediately as per the CBA, while the government was for the opinion that we have to await for the court litigation that is ongoing in Eldoret before we come to an agreement. But there we have a joint caveat that as that is going on, all the doctor interns, that is the medical officer interns, the pharmacist interns, and the dentist interns will have to wait a little bit longer. We have agreed on a 60 days period that they will not be posted, but we'll be having conversations on this issue. It then means that as this matter in court is ongoing, we'll also be having conversation. But one thing we must assure everybody, every doctor and every person, that the rights of workers are enshrined in a collective bargaining agreement that is signed, that is sacrosanct. We will always endeavor to protect that. Thank you.
Makofi, Makofi. Thank you very much. That is a very excellent speech. Now we turn to the Chair of the Council of Governors. Please, you can help me move the mics. Thank you very much, Dr. for that magnanimity. The Chair of the Council of Governors, Madam Anne Waiguru, the Governor for Kirinyaga.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Council of Governors, I would like to say how pleased we are and relieved that finally we have come to the end of this strike. It's been a long journey, many nights, many days of negotiation. And if we were in a boardroom, I would have said point of order, because I don't think the governors were throwing any tantrums. But in the process of negotiation, there is give and take, and there's that which can be done and that which can't be done. Most of the issues that had been raised for the Council of Governors had been agreed upon a lot earlier. And in the process of harmonization and the issues that kept emerging, it took a little longer. But we are saying today is a great day because we have come to the end of this issue, and we would like to thank the union also for coming this far and working seamlessly with county governments and agreeing on all the issues that were raised and the responses and the timelines that we've given, and therefore also calling the strike off. So on behalf of my colleagues, we want to say thank you, and thank you also to the head of public service, who for the whole journey has been steering the moderation between the two parties and also for the national government. So we thank you. We would also like to note that we will be continuing with the process of dialogue and negotiation with the other outstanding institutions that we haven't yet settled, because the commitment of the Council of Governors is to ensure that we're providing seamless service delivery to the people that elected us. Thank you once again, and thank you for making the time to be here.
Makofi. Now let me call upon the Cabinet Secretary for Health to make her remarks. I can see some governors would want to make some remarks. I can stand guided. So the Chair of Health. Okay, let's hear from the Chair of Health in the Council of Governors.
Thank you very much, the government spokesperson. I want to support the remarks that have been made by our chair. On behalf of the Council of Governors, we are grateful also to all the parties involved, HOPES and CS Health, the KMPDU, and everyone else who was involved in these negotiations. We have burnt midnight oil, and we have worked overtime. Some of us have not been to our counties for a very long time, and I hope our constituents know where we've been. It's for the greater good for the country. And now we are happy that we can now be able to go back to our counties and be able to see the implementation also being discussed today. It is easy to put a signature on the paper. It is easy for KMPDU to just pick the mic and say we have called off a strike. But the real work begins now. the implementation of what we have agreed upon is the beginning of the journey to make sure that we never have any more of this and call for disagreements that lead to strike. For a beginning, we have a dire need for the health for people of Kenya because of the floods. Cholera has just struck in some parts of the country, and therefore what the KMPDU SG has said that the doctors can go back within 24 hours. The 24 hours should begin now. SG, call out for duty. Health cannot wait. We'd even wish we can go back in the next few minutes because we really want our health to be back on track. On our behalf, we will continue engaging, as our chair said, with the remaining unions, that is Kenya National Union of Clinic Officers. We had agreed to meet them on Tuesday. We'll meet them, but we are hoping that because they've seen the goodwill that we have, and we mean good for them, they also can go back to work, and we'll continue negotiating as they work because we are available for them. Thank you.
Sure. Do you want to say something in the spirit of equity within the two levels of government? Karibu Mwalimu.
Thank you very much. I also would want to associate myself with the sentiments of my colleague, the Chair Health, and also our Chair COG. And I want to say that being a new chair in the Council of Governor and Labour, my commitment is to ensure that together with my colleagues, we will deal with all outstanding labor issues. And what we have exhibited through this strike is our willingness to engage, even when it is so difficult to do that. And I want to really appreciate that KMPDU has finally agreed to call off the strike. My message to all unions is that you can never solve the issues of workers in a single strike, because if you did, then we would need to disband all unions. And therefore we need to now get down to work. We should now get down to work and do the very best we can. I'm saying that because the SG has called off the strike. I have no power to call off the strike. But I'm saying the SG has done that, and therefore I would want to call on the individual members, let us get back to work. May I end by saying I want to thank national government for its commitment towards this process. We have, we are joined at the hip. There are quite a number of things that we have to work together to ensure that we fulfill the dictates and the likes and of the agreement. Mine is to wish you all the very best and to say it's been a tough journey. I thank everyone who participated. Thank you very much.
Makofi. Before we move back to the national government, the chair, KMPDU would want to add some voice. Kindly let's move the microphone. The chair KMPDU, by demand from his members. He said he has to say something. And then we move to CS Nakumicha, who will also introduce the two CSS with her, who are very key. And then we return back to the head of public service. Then we close with the national anthem. So choir, be ready. So chair. Chair. Wacha aseme kwa sababu ya kura wake.
You're a bully, man.
Could I be ready for the National Head of Public Service? Gives the concluding remarks. Now let's listen to the chair of KMPDU, Dr. Moch.
Thank you. I don't think there's anything much to say. I have never been of an opinion that in an industrial action which ostensibly involves the loss of lives, that there's any win. If at all there's any win, it's called a Pyrrhic victory. A Pyrrhic victory is a victory whereby, even though there's a medal at the end, the other side, the losses along the way are just too heavy to even celebrate that win. And since you've been here before, my word of play will be that we should never find ourselves in such a situation. And governments upon governments have been sitting on their able hands, and it takes the unique power of unions to put fire under their feet so that they jump into action. We should never get to such a position. There is no victory, because it's like a hostage situation. But since we had this circumlocution recommendation and ended up with a document that we saw it fit to put pen to paper, speaking as a doctor and back Hippocrates oath, this is it. Should not happen again. Thank you.
Coffee. That's a very great statement from a national leader. Now, we go to the CS. Madam CS, so that they can also represent the national government. And pole kwa majeruhi na maneno. Madam CS, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, the Head of Public Service, my colleague Cabinet Secretaries, Cabinet Secretary for Labor, my sister Florence Bore, Cabinet Secretary for Public Service and Performance, Moses Kuria, my Principal Secretaries present here, and all Principal Secretaries present, the leadership of KMPDU, starting with the Chair, Dr. Mwachi, the SG, Dr. Davji, mention the Deputy SG, he will feel bad, Dr. Miskela, and our chair for last night, who assisted us to make progress, Dr. Shisanya, all healthcare workers across the country, fellow Kenyans. After long and painstaking negotiations that ran into the wee hours of the night for many days, I am pleased that we are finally here. We have signed a return to work formula, and the union has called off the strike. The negotiations have been tough and protracted, and I want to give it to the doctors. I thought that I knew how to negotiate and bargain, but obviously they have been very good at this, better than myself. On several occasions, we came close and indeed thought that we had arrived at a deal, but it was not to be, and we kept the country waiting. However, I want to say last night, we all found a place in our hearts to agree. And this is testament to the apostle of Paul to the Philippians. And he said, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility regard others as better than yourselves. Let each of you look not to your own interests, but to the interests of others. This agreement could not have come at a better time and without the commitment of all stakeholders involved. I want to sincerely thank the team from the Ministry of Health, my two principal secretaries, Principal Mary Mudhoni Muriuki, Principal Harry Kimtai, the Director General, Dr. Amoth, and all the officials from the ministry who have worked together with me on this issue. I also want to thank the Head of Public Service, who under the Whole of Nation Approach Committee has led us into these discussions, the Council of Governors, for their deliberate effort to ensure that we get a solution, and to my colleagues who have been besides me in all this. Equally, I want to appreciate the conciliators from the Ministry of Labour, together with KOTU and the Labour and Employment and Labour Relations Court, for stepping in and being patient with all of us as we went through this. To the families and patients who may have wondered when the strike will end, we understand your pain. There's no denying that this strike has caused a lot of anxiety and pain among the public, especially at a time like now when we were accelerating access to universal health coverage. However, I must in a special way applaud the many doctors who remained at work during this strike, and all other healthcare cadres, such as the nurses who kept our facilities operational, and of course, our community army of the community health promoters for their important role as first-line health workers at the community level. At such a time when the country is going through the flood crisis, with the deaths that we have experienced, with over the 40,000 households displaced, I can never appreciate the health workers enough, because this is the time now for us to work. Fellow Kenyans, and especially the health workers, the issue that led to this strike are systemic issues that precede the Kenya Kwanza government. And it is for this reason that I consistently emphasize that first, we must make an agreement that we can implement. And second, we must find a lasting solution to the perennial issues. I am confident that what we have signed on to today, having consulted widely, this is a deal that is going to be implemented by all of us. Last night, we left the Ministry of Health at 3 a.m. And the deal breaker was, is this a deal for execution or just for signing? And we agreed that it was a deal for execution. This strike has given us an opportunity to introspect and look inwards to see what can be done better for health workers in this country. On Monday, my colleague C.S. Machogu and myself inaugurated a joint task force to look into the production of health workers. And within the next 90 days, the Ministry of Health will also review existing staffing norms and standards, which were last published in 2016. And this will set forth the stage of us filling the gaps that have existed within the health sector. The reforms that we are undertaking are cognizant of the fact that health is a devolved function, with the HRH component shared between the two levels of government. And given this reality, it is imperative that all discussions and agreements regarding human resources acknowledge the distinct employers within the health sector. As a ministry, we are committed to this principle, and any future agreements that we enter, including CBS, will be based on this constitutional reality. I also call upon the unions and their representatives to be mindful of the need to strengthen the employee-employer relationship, to build mutually trust that will resolve future conflicts for the benefit of wananchi. We have agreed that we are going to establish a presidential task force to look into the perennial issues that affect the health sector. Finally, now that we have a return to work formula, my friends, let us go back to work. All the names that you called me, I want to wash them away today. And should we as a ministry have erred in any way, today marks a new beginning. I want to urge all of us for now to focus on service delivery and make your rightful contribution to realization of UHC. The country has waited anxiously for 54 days to see you back to work, and they have a right to demand and expect to be served without further delay. My appeal to you is that please, forever, be truthful to the oath If you are in public service, prioritize service delivery in these public hospitals. Let Kenyans get value for their taxes by receiving quality services in a timely manner. As a government, led by His Excellency the President, Honorable Dr. William Ruto, we appreciate the important role that all healthcare facilities in the private and faith-based play in delivering health services. Our position is that if you have chosen to serve in public health facility, please dedicate yourself to that cause. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana. God bless the union. Viva. Asanteni.
Madam Waziri, maybe you may want to recognize your colleagues.
Oh, I have recognized, but I want to say thank you very much, my sister Florence. You put together a conciliator committee that worked very well, together with Kotu, that has led us to where we are today. And my colleague, Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria, he for she, I really appreciate you. You said the hard words that people did not want to hear. But thankfully, the truth is what has set us free today. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Makofi. Now, let's hear from the head of public service as a conclusion. Tumemaliza. Haya basi, hataki kuongea zaidi ya hapa, alimaliza. Sorry, I think this is a signing ceremony. So we will not allow questions for now, please, because it's already done. So let's have the national anthem. Please, the choir. National anthem.